Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Casey. And before we get started with this video, I want to say how grateful and thankful I am to everyone who has been supporting me in my other videos. Whether it's a like, a view, a sub, or a comment. I try to comment back to anyone who leaves a positive comment or an informative comment on any of my videos. So I really want to say thank you for that. Not gonna lie, it brightens up my day when I see a comment that I can respond to, or if I get a new subscriber. So thank you so much for the support, and not just my teaching videos, but also in any video. Thanks for that. Today's video, it was not my idea. I received an email from someone who viewed my Why I Quit Teaching video, and I'm gonna read some of their emails so that you guys can have a kind of a background as to how this idea came about. So this person is going to graduate soon with a history degree and still want to be a history teacher. So instead, this is what they said. So instead of going in blind, I was wondering, do you have a plan or plan on making a video, like a checklist or maybe green and red flags for schools and school districts? Because I think it would make research much easier when finding a place to teach. Instead of blindly applying, I could see from the start what places are automatic no or places to consider. Thank you for your time. And at first, when I first read the email, which, Derek, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry that I saw it a month later. And I was like, I don't think I can do this video. I don't have any green or red flags that I would look for as a teacher. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, wait, I've seen this and I should have picked that up as a red flag. I've seen that and I should have picked that up as a green flag. So I didn't really do a green and red flag. I just kind of did things that you should consider before you interview, before you even apply, during your interview, and then two little extra things to consider while you're doing these interviews. And I feel like this is pretty important because I think I was super focused on teachers quitting on like my story, but you know, there are people out there who still want to attempt teaching in a classroom, which I think is really like noble, because even if it's not something you do for more than a year or for like as a lifelong career, you still want to try, and that's very it's just very noble. So why not give a resource to those who still want to try, even though they've probably seen all the videos on quitting teachers, all the negative TikToks, and they still have it in them to try. So I made a list, so if you see me looking down, it's because I'm trying to read from my notes. So let's start with the before. So first of all, when you're looking at different districts or different schools, go onto their websites and play around with the website. Click on links, look for typos, look for major discrepancies. I think at an organized district in an organized school, those minor things shouldn't really be there. The website should be pretty clean, and there shouldn't be too many, if any, typos on the website, because it's the front page that anyone's gonna see. A future employee, a parent, a student. So I think it's important that schools and school districts take care of their website. So definitely look into that. If I can give a quick little story, once I was on a school's webpage, and in the page where it says the assistant principal's message, at the end, instead of saying the assistant principal's name, it said the principal's name, which I thought was funny because it wasn't like the beginning of a school year. This was like mid-school year. So I was like, that is something that should have been fixed, you know? And if I was a parent looking at that, I would have been like, this is a little weird. But that's just something that I kind of noticed. Another thing that I saw was on district and school websites, which I did not know, because I think if I would have known this, I could have done way more research before blindly accepting positions. The employee handbook is in the district and school websites. Not every school website the employee handbook is going to be there, but in the district I did find it, and it had everything. I mean, it had everything. I specifically looked at the district that I previously worked at to see if it said anything like about staying at the school for 3 years or them being able to move you to another school at any time of the year, and it did. And I was in shock because I think if I would have read that, I would have steered clear from that district. So in the employee handbook, I would print it out. If you're a hard copy type of person, print it out. If you're not, save it as a PDF and like highlight and bookmark things, because the real juicy things for me in the handbook were the contracts, where it talks to you about what is expected of you, transfers to new schools, leave administration, like to find your holiday time, to find your sick time, if you choose to leave, if you choose to not continue to work at that school, and salary schedules showing you what they expect to pay you with X amount of experience. So definitely I feel like the employee handbook is going to be your best friend when looking into schools and looking into districts. Definitely have a copy of that at hand, and as you're going through different schools, highlight what you find is important, highlight what you consider is a red flag. And another thing before you apply is to look at interviews. Is to look at reviews. Look at employee reviews. Indeed has reviews, and Google also has reviews, depending on this district. I looked at a review for a school that I previously worked at, and it was from custodial staff, and what they had said was something like this: staff was super unwelcoming. And when I read that comment, I was like, from the moment I walked into that school, I felt super unwelcomed. I don't know if it was the way I was raised or if it was, I don't know, my environment growing up, but I am the type of person to say good morning to everybody. I don't like walking past people without saying hi, in a work setting. So I remember trying to say hi to and good morning to people who would walk past me, and probably about 50% or less of the people that I said it to would respond back. And that just was like not normal for me. And I felt like you can tell something was wrong in the school. You can tell that people were unhappy at that school. And those little things I noticed. So if I would have seen that comment, I would have really taken note of it during an interview. So definitely look at reviews when you can. Don't take them too seriously, because you are always going to find negative reviews, just as much as you're going to find positive reviews. Just keep those reviews in the back of your mind when you're walking through the schools and when you're doing interviews. When I'm bringing up Title I schools, because I'm talking about parents. A Title I school is a school that receives federal funds because the school has a high number of children in poverty. That's a Title I school. And the reason why I want to make it clear is that it's not about the students, is because students are going to be kids wherever you go. They're going to be difficult. They're going to have bad days. So it's not about the students. And just be aware that when you work in a Title I school, you may not receive a lot of support from the parents. And those parents, they weren't able to stay on top of homework, stay on top of funds, stay on top of supplies. And I which is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, parents, you know, they need to do what they need to do to support their families. I understand that. For example, in one of the schools that I worked at, there was a high population of students whose parents worked in the fields. They would work like on farming fields. So even when they would come in for parent-teacher conferences, they would come in, you know, clothes that you can tell had been worked in with dirt and things like that. So I also recognized like that support wasn't really that enforced. Homework wasn't supported, funds weren't always brought in, like I said before. So just keep that in mind. And the reason I'm saying that is because some teachers feel that they can be that support for students and some don't. And I feel like that's okay. And if you don't feel like you are capable of being that kind of support for students, maybe don't apply to a Title I school. If you feel like you can be that kind of support to students, definitely apply. I want to give another example. I had a student once who would go to music class and they needed to take a recorder. And week after week he was getting Fs, and it was really bringing down his grades because he would never bring a recorder. And I would try to contact his parent, try to contact through any means necessary. I even would try and catch her at the pickup line, but then usually it would be somebody else picking him up. But at the end I had bought a recorder for myself, and I ended up giving it to the student. It was unused, it was brand new, because he was just going to continue to fail throughout the entire school year if he didn't have a. So if you think you are unable to support a student in that way, maybe working in a Title I school isn't for you yet. And that's nothing, you know, everybody has a preference, everybody has their limits. So I feel like don't be ashamed of that, just be aware of that. Okay, let's move on to during your interview. I think we live in a day and age where it is appropriate to talk about code red drills. If I was going into an interview today, I would definitely ask, you know, what are the procedures for code red drills? Is it district mandated? How often do they happen? Is there are the systems working? Are the systems up to date for those drills to be executed correctly? I worked at a school where there was no functioning PA system. There was before, and then I guess the connection was ruined, so the PA system didn't work, and it looked like it wasn't getting fixed. And the way that the principal wanted all of us to be in communication was to have a group chat in WhatsApp Messenger. The whole school, staff, custodian, everybody was in that group chat. So the way he would notify us that we were about to be on a drill was through text message. And that is highly irresponsible. That is super unsafe. And it's just wrong in so many ways. I don't have my phone on loud. You know, I'm not looking at every time I get a text message. I don't look at my phone while I'm mid-teaching. And I had a case one time where he came in and I was still teaching, and I was told that I needed to keep an eye on my phone because they were in the middle of a drill and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. In the moment, you know, I just gathered the kids and did what we had to do during the code red drill. But after I sat and thought about it, I was like, I should have stood up for myself and be like, well, this is the exact reason why we shouldn't have our main security system shouldn't be our phones. Someone's phone could die. You don't hear the ringtone like I didn't pay attention. You know, I didn't know we were going to have one, so I wasn't paying attention to that kind of stuff. And in case of a real life emergency, that is going to happen. There are going to be teachers who are not paying attention. I was pretty upset after the fact because I was like, I just felt super unsafe at school. So I think it's appropriate, and it's an appropriate time to bring up those concerns, because your life is on the line, the student's life is on the line, so you should be able to talk about it. And if you have administrators who are giving you pushback when you ask these kind of questions, if they can't handle the heat, then it's time to go, because these questions are important and you have the right to ask them. So yeah. Okay, another thing. When you're in your interview, the principal should be present. And I don't know if this is common. I haven't had many interviews at many different schools, but I've had 2 interviews where the principal wasn't present, and it just felt weird. I think you should definitely meet your boss before working. And later I found out that both of those principals were like antisocial, and they just didn't do interviews because of that. And they would meet the teacher the day of the first day of work. Now with more experience, I realize that that is not the way things should be done. You should meet with them beforehand to kind of feel their vibe, feel their energy. You want someone you can work with. You want someone who you believe will provide you support when you need it. So I think it's super important to meet the principal when you're doing your interviews. Okay, during your interview, I feel like it's common nowadays for administrators to offer you jobs on the spot. In my notes, I wrote down, if they offer you a job on the spot, say no. But I feel like it's just kind of normal at this point. I think administrators think if they find somebody, you grab them. They don't want to give the candidate a chance to go to other schools and get hired somewhere else. So I think they try and grab you by offering you the job on the spot. And that's not the problem if you feel like the school is a good fit. It's only a problem when the administrators back you into a corner to where you say yes. I think harassment is a strong word for that. I don't even know what word to use for it, but that happened to me at my first job. I told the assistant principal who was interviewing me if I could go home and think about it and give them an answer later. And I did that just because I wanted to consult, make sure that this was the right position, think about the position. And the response that I got was, yeah, you could do that, but if you leave, we're going to take it as a no. We're going to interview more people later on today, and most likely we're going to find our candidate. So if you leave, it's going to be a no. Or if you say yes, then it's a yes now. I remember I got so worked up because of the way that this man was talking to me and pushing me to say yes. I started crying during the interview. It was also for a special education teacher, and I wasn't certified to do that. So I was very like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I've never been in a special education classroom before. I've never read a book on special education. I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I felt super overwhelmed. And I think the assistant principal didn't feel bad when I cried. He was just happy he got the yes. So if they back you into a corner like that, that's not the way you want to get hired at a job. Definitely take some time to think about it if you need to. And if that job is gone by the time you're ready to give an answer, then the job is gone. Then it's not meant for you, and it's time to find somewhere else to work. Okay. When you're doing your interview, definitely take a tour of the school. And there are some things to notice while you're taking a tour. Notice how the teachers and the staff dress. I think it's super representative of how the school functions. If they're dressed professionally and look like they have themselves put together, that's a great sign. I think that if they don't wear proper attire, it shows that there may be some lacks or lack of communication somewhere. I've been to both, and I did notice a huge difference in the school where the teachers were dressed professional. While you're taking your tour, during your interview, ask whoever's taking you around, for example, how many fourth grade classrooms are there? Let's say they say 3. You want to say, can I go see each of those 3 classes? You don't want your administrators to show you just the good. You want to see the bad. Not the bad. You want to see everything. So by you asking how many classrooms of a certain grade there are and then asking to see all of those, I feel like you're really making it a point that you want to see it all. You don't want to see just the bright side. When you go into these classrooms, get a feel for them. Are they welcoming? Do the students look like they have their supplies? Do the students look comfortable? Does the teacher look comfortable? Does the teacher look like they have supplies? Are the students sharing a lot? Are they sharing like workbooks? Those are the types of things to notice in a classroom. Is it crowded? Those are the types of things you want to kind of notice while you're taking your tour. It doesn't tell all, but it tells a lot. And just keep that little mental checklist in your mind as you're walking through those classrooms. Okay, during your interview, I don't know if you can do this in all districts, but because there's a shortage of teachers, I think some districts allow you to negotiate your salary. If you don't know how to negotiate a salary, definitely watch a YouTube. I'm not one to ask. My job right now, I didn't negotiate when I should have, but so definitely watch a YouTube video and kind of inform yourself on how to do it properly. When I was doing my internship, the best advice that my internship teacher gave me was to substitute before having my own class, especially because I was graduating in December, so that means I would have my own class in the middle of the school year. And I should have listened, so since I didn't listen, I'm telling you all that is definitely something to do. Being a substitute is like going behind the scenes without making a commitment. You get to see how teachers work, you get to see how the students are, you get to see how the school flow is, how the school function is, how the staff treat each other. All those things. Definitely substitute. And if you are graduating at the end of the school year and substituting really isn't a thing, almost all the schools that I've been to, have had summer school. Offer to teach, offer to sub in those schools, maybe when a teacher is absent, so that you can get that inside scoop before making the commitment. I think I would have been much more prepared doing that than jumping right in January looking for my own classroom. Well, this is my second time recording this. I'm really hoping the second time came out better and a little bit more authentic. Sometimes when I'm in front of the camera, I get so nervous that it feels like I'm just trying to read a script and be done with it. I really and truly hope this helps to all the people out there who still want to give teaching a shot. Kudos to you. I hope your experiences go well. You know, you are really putting your best foot forward by still attempting to teach, even with the negativity that's going around lately with teachers. So kudos to you. I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope that this video gave you some kind of insight on what to do, what to look for when looking for a district or a school to work for. Though that information is out there, you just really have to research. If you found this video interesting, if you found this video helpful, subscribe to my channel, give this video a like. Definitely share this video if you're in a class maybe or still in college, and you can share this information with other students in your other students in your class. Definitely share this video to others, and I will catch y'all in my next video.